Residential report writing and case studies. Chapter 6, Other Form Reporting Options. Page 6, Special Requirements for the 1004C. It shows a bar that says, I did or did not analyze the manufacturer's invoice. Explain the results of the analysis of the manufacturer's invoice, or why the analysis was not performed. And there's a line underneath that. And then it says retailer's name, new construction. And there's an area behind it. On page 1 of the form requires the appraiser to report the results of the analysis of the manufacturer's invoice if the manufactured home is a new construction. Underneath that, it's a section called the HUD data plate. The HUD data plate / compliance certificate is located on the interior of the subject and contains, among other things, the manufacturer's name, trade / model, and manufactured and serial number. The HUD certification label is located on the exterior of this section of each section of the home. Is the HUD data plate / compliance certificate attached to the dwelling? Yes or no? If yes, identify the location. If no, provide the data sources for the plate / compliance certificate information. Is a HUD certification label attached to the exterior of each section of the dwelling? Yes or no? If no, provide the data sources for the HUD certificate. There's 2 empty sentences underneath that to fill out. Then, manufacturer's serial numbers / VIN numbers. And then there's some area down from that to fill out. HUD certification labels. And then there's some area behind that to fill out. Underneath that, manufacturer's name. And then trade / model. And then down the line is still date of manufacture. Do the wind, roof load, and thermal zones meet the minimum HUD requirements for the location of the subject property? Yes or no? If no, explain. Reporting the information found on the manufacturer's home data plate is essential in completing the 1004C form. The serial number, the manufacturer's name, the trade / model of the home, and the date of manufacture can only be found on the data plate. This information cannot be found on the red HUD labels affixed to the exterior of the home. The 1004C form also requires the appraiser to answer a very location-specific question. Will the wind, roof load, and thermal zones meet the minimum requirements for the present location of the property? For the appraiser to answer this question, he or she must gather information from the data plate. Underneath that is the site section. Are the utilities and off-site improvements typical for the market area? Yes or no? If no, describe. And there's 2 lines for that. Is the site size, shape, and topography generally conforming to and acceptable in the market area? Yes or no? If no, explain. 2 sentences underneath that, 2 areas to fill out. Is there adequate vehicular access to the subject property? Yes or no? If no, describe. And there's 3 sentences underneath that. Is the street property properly maintained? Yes or no? If no, describe. There are other specific questions that are best answered after the appraiser has conducted a visual inspection of the property. These answers require more detail than merely checking the appropriate block. Narrative comments may be required to satisfy the client's need for information relative to the site, access, utilities, and improvements. Underneath that is the improvement section. It starts with installer's name, date installed, model year. Is the manufactured home attached to a permanent foundation system? Yes or no? If no, describe the foundation system and the manner of attachments. And there's 2 lines underneath that. Have the towing hitch, wheels, and axles been removed? Yes or no? If no, explain. And there's 3 lines underneath that. Is the manufactured home permanently connected to a septic tank or sewage system and other utilities? Yes or no? If no, explain. There's 2 lines underneath that. Does the dwelling have sufficient gross living area and room dimensions to be acceptable to the market? Yes or no? If no, explain. On page 2, the form requires more specific information regarding the home and its setup, such as, is the manufactured home attached to a permanent foundation system? Have the towing hitch, wheels, and axles been removed? Is the manufactured home permanently connected to a septic tank or sewage system and other utilities? Does the dwelling have sufficient gross living area and room dimensions to be acceptable to the market? These questions are specific to manufactured homes and as such do not appear on any other Fannie Mae appraisal reporting form. In addition to completing the sales comparison approach to value, the cost approach is required by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as part of the appraisal process for all manufactured homes. Neither Fannie Mae nor Freddie Mac requires the income approach when appraising manufactured homes, although there is an area on the form for the income approach to be reported. Another brief quiz is next. End of page.